Well, I finally pulled the trigger and went and picked up a 1448 flatboat built by Southfork. I got the one with a 54-inch front deck, storage compartment, rear bench seat. So stay with me over the next few weeks and I'll go all through the build of this flatboat. I'm going to have to put cleats in it, mount a trolling motor, make templates and cut out floorboards, add running lights, bilge pump, everything that it'll take. So stay with me and we'll go through this step by step on building a little inland fishing boat. 1448 flatboat built by Southfork. All right, the first thing we'll do is we'll mount this bow mount Minn Kota power drive. It's a 55-pound thrust trolling motor. And to do that, I got a plate from Duvix. It was $29 from this plate. And I got a quick release puck to make it to where I can take the trolling motor on and off so I can use this boat duck hunting and other things. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim the front of this plate off. I've already got a lot of my layout spots. I've got some aluminum riv nuts I'm going to use to anchor it into the bow and onto this deck. So let's get going with the installation of this bow mount trolling motor. I'll cut the plate now and then I'll come back and we'll drill holes and get it all laid out. First thing I did was drill all my little pilot holes, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill the outside of the size of this riv nut up here to where I can bolt it right down flat, and I'll do the same thing on these three down here. Okay, I got all my riv nut inserts put in the boat where I want them. Now I'm going to counter bore these holes a little bit bigger to where I can bolt straight directly into there. All right, I got it temporary mounted. I'm going to take it back off and repaint all the edges and everywhere where I drilled holes, and then we'll do a permanent mount on it. Well, since these are aluminum riv nut inserts and I'm using stainless bolts, I'm going to put a great big glob of never seize on each one to try to prevent it from seizing up in there eventually. It's more along the lines of something to ease my mind than something that'll actually work. Alrighty, well, the first project on the boat is all done. I got my trolling motor mount finished. That easy to put it on and off. That way I can use the boat for duck hunting and other stuff too. Not always have to have a trolling motor mounted on the bow. So the next part of this project is making some floorboards to cover the bottom of the boat. What I did is I took some cardboard, I marked the center line down the boat, and then I slid it all the way over to the edge, and I used a compass to scribe around all the different ribs. Once I got it all scribed, I got my cardboard cut out, and then I'll take and I'll lay this on top of plywood using that center line as a total distance measurement, and I'll cut out some plywood to use for floorboards on this boat. Well, I finally went and got some plywood. It was $24 a sheet. I needed 2 sheets just for these 2 little pieces. So I got my cardboard template all laid on there. I got my lines transferred over to it. I'm going to cut it out, notch out for the ribs, round the corners, and get it all set up. I decided to make the floorboards 2-piece with a seam right down the center so I can take them out when I'm not using them. So I used an 11/16" socket to mark these radiuses, and I ground them off with a flapper wheel on a grinder, and I cut out the rib notches with a jigsaw. So let's go test fit this piece and see where I need to trim it to get it in good. All right, I got all my floorboards notched out from my ribs and installed. Only thing I got to do is go get some paint and get some coats of paint on them now. Come out pretty good. The ice chest and everything I'm going to have on it will keep them from blowing out going down the road. I went by the local hardware store to pick up some Piro Green Duralex boat paint, and they didn't have any, so I got some Duck Boat Drab. The main thing is just get some paint on this plywood before it ever gets moisture on it. I'll probably camouflage the whole boat in the future anyway, so it probably won't matter at all. So I got my registration stickers and numbers from Wildlife and Fisheries. I'm going to go ahead and put them on. I bought these Atwood 3-inch letters off of Amazon for $12.18 shipped to the house. First thing I'm going to do is I put a 1-inch line up from the top of this rib so where the letters and numbers will all be centered up here. I'm going to put a piece of tape on the bottom as a guide to line it all up. So I got it all laid out where I'm going to put my numbers, LA 8396GF with the sticker in front of them. Okay, I got this side done. All I'm going to do is transfer my layout tape to the other side of the boat. Okay, only thing left to do is to peel off my layout tape. And it came out really, really nice. Nice and straight and even on both sides. Looking good. Last thing to do is to take a plastic squeegee and make sure you worked out all the air bubbles out of all the numbers, which I'm pretty sure they are. But this just gives you a good adherence. I bought a lot of electrical stuff to wire this boat. I bought marine grade wiring, battery kill switches, switch panels, but I think I'm just going to go with battery powered lights on it. It'll be a lot easier than trying to maintain all this stuff on a little flatboat that'll constantly get wet from salt water. I also ordered 30 foot of 8-2 marine wire for wiring the trolling motor up. I'm going to install a waterproof marine 60 amp breaker in the trolling motor lead. I'm going to run my electrical wires through this chase on the bottom of the transom up through here behind all the ribs, and I'll probably end up drilling a hole in the bow deck right here and putting the grommet through, come through, and then come up with my trolling motor wire and my other wires, and I can fasten it down to the edge somewhere. So I'm mocking this all up with the trolling motor. I wanted to see how far my cord came. So I'm gonna go ahead and drill an 1.5 inch hole in the deck and put a rubber grommet in. I'll run my quick disconnect right up to here, run my cable all the way through the chases here, down through the side and into the battery box, and I'll tie it in with some wire loom around the outside of it. Nothing like drilling a hole in the deck of a boat. Clean the burr off the edge with a round file. I'll go ahead and pop my grommet in. Popped in, now I'll run my trolling motor cable. Whenever you mess with this marine wire, it's important that you get a real good seal by shrink wrapping the ends of everything. So this will be a good watertight seal for my quick disconnects on the marine wiring. So I got this protective wire wrap for $3.49 for 7 foot from Harbor Freight. I got it put on my battery cable for my trolling motor, and I'm going to thread it through everything behind these ribs and through that chase on the bottom. So I got my wire all ran. I'll drill a little hole and tie wrap this here just for security. This will loop around and plug right into the battery. Only thing I got left to do is just snap my ends on for my quick disconnects. That's simple. Alrighty. I'll take and I'll put a few wraps of black tape right here on the connection. The trolling motor wire is all run. I made a whip up for the circuit breaker for the trolling motor, and I decided to tie wrap it right to the top of the trolling motor battery box. Be the best place for it. And when I got a battery and everything in it, it's just this quick and simple to plug it all in. Then for the trolling motor in, it's just this simple. All connected. So that's a nice clean sanitary wiring of the trolling motor with a circuit breaker built in. I'll fasten the battery box to the back of the seat to prevent it from moving when driving the boat. I got a 12-gallon fuel tank I'll put in that side, trying to balance it out a little bit. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mount 6 of these stainless steel boat cleats on the boat. I ended up ordering them in black since, like I said, I'm going to probably duck hunt out of this boat in the future. So I'm going to put 1 on each corner in the back. I'm going to put 2 on this bulkhead for tie downs, and I'm going to mount 2 up on the bow rail. So let's get mounting these boat cleats to secure stuff. All right, first thing I'm going to do is I've measured these all out and laid out where I want them, and I'm going to put my light inside of the cleat on that side over there. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my self-centering punch, mark a hole, then I got a 17/64" drill bit I'll use to drill these out. You can see by using a 17/64, there's plenty of room for 1/4 bolts to go through. So these cleats come with little rubber pieces you insert like this, and that'll keep the cleat up in the fixed position while you have it open. They come with a backing plate. They came with some little M8, M6 hardware. I went ahead and got 1/4 stainless, so I'll set it on there, flip my backing plate on it, washers, and 2 lock nuts. I've got my 2 bolts in from the top. Let's see if I can get these tightened up now. Cleats all installed, ready to use. So that's 2 down, 4 more to go. I think these cleats were like $8.75 each. So 6 of them come to a little bit of money, and then I spent $12 on the stainless 1/4 hardware to mount them. Okay, the next thing I'm gonna do is mount my battery box, and I absolutely hate these cheap plastic battery box straps and the plastic battery box loops for tie down. So I ordered one off of Amazon. It's got stainless steel loops. It's got an 1.5 inch wide strap with a good stainless steel buckle. This was $9.25. I actually ordered 4 of them. I'm going to put 3 on my 2 trolling motor batteries and on my starting battery on my big boat. So the first thing I did is I laid it all out here. I'm going to use my center punch to punch the holes and start it. It came with some real cheesy Chinese hardware. I'm actually going to use 3/16" pop rivets to mount them. I'll go ahead and drill a hole. Go get a different pop rivet gun. That one was giving me fits. Beautiful. Now I can thread this strap through. That's how I'm going to do my battery box. And that'll be way more secure. I'll figure out how long I want this to eventually be, and I'll trim off the excess, but way more sturdier than these old stupid type straps here that I hate so much. Since I'm using these Riv Nut inserts on the bow and they don't mount flush, I had to grind a little bit off the back side of the cleat. So I'm gonna get my little rubber pieces lined up. Get it lined up on my cleat. Once again, stainless steel into aluminum, so I'm using some never sees, which ends up everywhere. Go ahead and torque this cleat down. I laid them out equal distance from the center line up on the bow here, trying to decide exactly where to put them. This seemed like the logical spot. Beautiful. Let me get the other one mounted up here on the bow now. All right, bow cleats are done. Now I just got to see if my arms are long enough to reach up in here and get these bulkhead cleats on. Well, I put the floorboards back in temporarily where I could reach. I got my other 2 cleats mounted. So all 6 cleats are on the boat. It's almost time to get this thing in the water. I went ahead and mounted my 1992 25 Johnson on it to run the boat. I bought this motor brand new in 92. I went ahead and drilled through the transom and bolted it up with some good silicone sealant and all. If you look through my videos, I got a section on how to replace the water pump, doing a little bit of maintenance on it, and how to reseal the lower gear case if you're interested. I also have a 6 horsepower longtail that I'm going to be running on this flatboat too. Well, this will be the first trip in the new 1448 John boat. I got the motor all warmed up. Let's go run this thing and see how she performs. Tell you what, I really like this Minn Kota remote control trolling motor. This is the first time I've ever used one that wasn't hand controlled. And boy, you talk about nice. And a 55-pound thrust really scoots this little boat. Well, I finally finished the 1448 build, and I ran it this morning out in freshwater just to see how it performs. The boat turns good. It has a good top speed. I really like that Minn Kota Riptide trolling motor remote control. I've always had handheld ones in the past, and I think I'm really going to get used to using a remote control one. So everything worked out great. I hope to get out there a lot this winter with this little flatboat and do some fishing. So till the next video, get out there and go fishing.